So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming on a Sunday midday. It's great to see you. We have a number of wonderful guests that will be speaking shortly from Texas, and Jim will do his regular sort of updating. So I will just do a short intro. And apropos of the World Cup, I have just been thinking about how just what a contrast, what a wonderful contrast it has been to try not to read the news and try not to think about the people who are running our country, but in contrast to them, to read all about how Americans, the citizens of America, have been colorblind, national blind, ethnic blind in their love of people that are coming to their town from all over the world to play soccer. It's just one amazing story after another, and I'm just going to share a few of them with you in case you have not been following all those stories the way I have. In Lawrence, Kansas, that was where the Algerian team was practicing and playing. The University of Kansas marching band learned the Algerian national anthem and played it for them on the way to their practices. They also had local restaurants serving Algerian dishes and people from this little town in Kansas coming out to cheer on the practice lines for these Algerian players. Mexican fans bonded with South Korea and over a mutual love of K-pop. They were having dancing and chanting together, Mexican fans and South Korean fans. You probably saw stories about the Scottish fans infecting Boston with all of their bagpipes and kilts. In Greensboro, North Carolina, everybody in North Carolina started doing the Viking row for Norway. And Tampa and Cabo Verde, the small island team, didn't just train in Tampa, they became such a part of the community that players began coaching local children in their soccer practices. So just to me, it's, sometimes it's invisible, the fact that our country is not our administration and that the citizens of this country not only do not agree by a majority with most of the things this administration is doing, but that's not how people feel. They do not feel like we should be at war. They do not feel like we are against other countries or against peoples. They do not feel like people who are other should be hunted down and shot. They are thrilled to have people who are different in their communities. And not only are they welcoming them, they're just making them a part of their community. So I just love that. And I'm thrilled that this sporting phenomenon has done that to this country right at this moment. With that, I will turn it over to Jim.
Great, and I love that too. That was really inspiring. I'm not an emotional guy, but that got me a little bit emotional. So, um, as usual, I'm just going to go ahead and start to show some slides.
Okay.
Sorry, too big. Okay, so we have continued reasons for optimism. And I showed this last month, and if anything, it's continuing to get better. The war goes on, prices of gas are going to go up. ICE is, bubbling forward with all the bad things they're doing. Trump is a sick old man, and people know it. So all these things work for us, including that we do have these great candidates across the country, and really at all levels. So I really do believe this blue wave is definitely coming. So now we're going to do a Texas deep dive, reminding people, or people may not all know this, that Texas, this is the population, not the voting population, but it's reflective anyway. And it's a minority majority state. And at some point, it's not really so much of a red state. It's just the way it's sort of constructed and so forth. And this is part of the reason why I'm very optimistic that we do have a once in a generation shot in Texas. So starting with the Senate, which I'm going to talk about a fair amount. Paxton, who's pretty unpopular and corrupt, and Tallarico, who's actually pretty popular. And this is, the leading the charge. So this is as of this morning, the four polls that I could find, all showing a very close race. Look at the second to the last column. And I prefer, if anything, moving in our direction a little bit. Likewise, if you look at the betting odds from Kalshi, which I think is a good indicator also, it's very, very close, basically a toss-up. So that's why we're here. I mean, a good deal of it. This is where we want to be. This is where we like to be. We like to be in a place where we can make a difference, not just, of course, at the Senate level. But here's the thing. I hope people can see the top of this slide, which he raised a record amount of money in the last quarter, $30 million just in one quarter, destined to have more than $100 million. And even in Texas, that's a lot of money. And of course, in addition to that, there's all the PAC money. And here's an announcement this week about Reid Hoffman giving him $10 million, which is also just the tip of the iceberg of the money that's going to go into the state for him. Now, he does, support other candidates as well. The marginal dollar, if we were to raise, what we hope to raise for the legislature, that doesn't move the needle for this. That won't make any difference. So this is why I know you've heard me make this case many times, but it just comes to the fore very much in Texas. Okay. So, and Ken Paxton continues to have his problems. Came out this week that he probably has been voting illegally in terms of Texas law. He's been voting in a place where he hasn't lived for some time. Whether that will influence voters, I don't know, but it'll probably influence. It doesn't help him, doesn't hurt us, but that's kind of the way he is. He doesn't seem to be bothered that much by controversy like that, so that helps us. And we have this at the top of the ticket, Gina Hinojosa, who rounds out the ticket very, very well for governor. Another reason for optimism in Texas. All right, so and I did want to reflect back on this particular Senate election in Texas. And Texas Senate districts are huge because it's a big state and there are not that many senators. So there was this election, a special one actually in the Fort Worth area. This is a district that Trump won by 17%. A rookie, a new Democrat, won in this race. First, it came in almost won it in the primary, then had to go into the runoff, and finally won by 14%. So we're used to swings of like 20%. This is a swing of 31%. Now we know it's a special election and It's still, to me, highly significant. Just another piece of evidence why things are opportune in Texas. And he was outspent 6-1 by his opponent. Another evidence that money isn't everything in politics, especially when it goes for TV that people are sick of and so forth. But here's the kind of coup de grace. Is that in the heavy Hispanic precincts which are a fair number in this district, he won by almost 90%, as opposed to Kamala, who won by almost 64%. Now, Hispanic voters in Texas are different. There's diversity and so forth, but this is a really very good harbinger that they're going to come back and vote with us even more because they're concerned about ICE and they're concerned about the economy and so forth. So what we're doing in Texas is going for the gold. And just to run through the numbers, there are 150 House seats, which means there's 76 for the majority. There are 62 Democrats at the moment. There are two Democrats that we think have a very, very good chance to win, and so we're not helping them. We think they can do that on their own. But we have now 15 what we call leading edge challengers, which all I think are potentially winnable races. It was 12, but we got a lot of enthusiasm from you guys, so we increased it to 15. So if I got my math right, which I don't guarantee, but I think I do, theoretically, if everything works, that's actually an 8-seat majority because it gets you to 79. Now, okay, maybe not, may not happen. We still might get a majority. So that's really worthwhile. Anyway, if we can make substantial inroads, which we almost certainly will, that's going to help. But, you know, half of our motivation is to help those up ballot races. My very strong view is that dollar for dollar, this is a much better way to support Tallarico than if we were to give money directly to Tallarico. And we get, you know, help all the other up ballot races as well. So here they are, all 15 of them. And Allison Mitchell is with us. She's going to talk about her campaign, how she's going to win and so forth. We do our homework. We talk to every one of these candidates at some length. And we've been doing this now for 10 years, supporting state legislature races. So by now, I feel like we have a pretty good feel for candidates that are good, campaigns that are good, and so forth. This is a really good group of candidates. They're just grossly underfunded because, you know, people kind of like hit their head against Texas, or they can't get their arms around Texas, or some metaphor. So there's just not a lot of support. So that's what we like to find, those opportunities. We think it's a great investment. So what are we supporting? Local social media. And that's what Brittany Switzer is going to talk about in a few minutes. But just to kind of lay it out a little bit, she'll do a much better job, of course. It focuses on Facebook and Instagram, and I guess to some extent TikTok. I haven't quite figured out how that works, but I mean, I know how it works, but I don't know how, in the pantheon of priority. The advantage of Facebook and Instagram is that there's really good voter targeting, both in terms of the area, so like by zip code within a district, and also by demographic factors if you're trying to target specific voters. And it's not perfect at all. In fact, it's somewhat imperfect because the matching is not to specific voters, but it's considered to be quite a good. And this is one reason why Meta makes a lot of money, because they do it to businesses, for local businesses. It's inexpensive relatively. And when we talk to all these campaigns, we came away with the consistent conclusion that this would really help a number of these campaigns to help fill out, because they're really very under-resourced. You know, the biggest priority for most House races is door knocking. But these are large districts. These are populations of over 200,000 people on average. And it's really hot in Texas. So there's limitations to that. So this is a really good way to kind of reach out directly to voters in a district. So what are we paying for? We're paying for training, which Brittany's going to talk about. But then the lion's share, the big amount, actually goes for what's called boosting. And that gets you sort of to these specific people much more cost effectively that you're trying to reach. So we're going to be embarking on training. And when do you suppose the training is going to start? John Isaacson wants to know. Answer, tomorrow. The training is going to start tomorrow. So we started to raise money and getting this thing going. But we need a lot more because the ads are the major cost. But we're not letting the grass grow under our feet, if you will. and that's what Brittany's going to talk about. So our goal is $240,000 and it goes through the Texas House Caucus. We're using Oath. There's going to be a donation link in the chat. Of course, we're having this fantastic fundraiser on the 23rd, this coming Thursday. Hopefully, most of you will be coming to it and donating then. You don't have to wait till then to donate. Some of you have already donated, but you can donate more than one time. Because I think this is going to be our biggest effort of the year, guys. This is like kind of like go for broke. We will probably do something else after this, but this is the thing we really want to be successful with because it is a once in a lifetime or generation opportunity. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany.
Hi, everyone. I am really excited to be here and also more excited that you guys are interested in Texas and investing in our candidates. I will talk a little bit about that more as I go through kind of what we're going to be doing tomorrow. But I just want you guys to know I've worked in Texas politics for, oh my gosh, 15 years now, and investments like this really are game changers for our candidates and just really, I guess, feeling the love for everyone that they're going to be able to run ads and do more stuff on social. So a bit about me. As I mentioned, I've worked in Texas politics for quite a while. I worked for our state party for almost 7 years, and through that work, supported more than 800 candidates at varying levels of office and running for office. After leaving the Texas Democratic Party, I joined the Biden administration and worked for the Environmental Protection Agency, where I helped them kind of take those same skills of recruitment, online advertising, and social media so that they could recruit new employees for all of the jobs that they were getting under the bipartisan infrastructure law. And then joined the DNC for the 2024 cycle and through that work also helped support the Kamala Harris campaign. Now I am back in Texas, working with the HDCC and other local candidates who just really are such a crucial level of defense. As you know, here in Texas, the Texas Republicans are also trying to implement some of the power grabs that we see Trump do at the federal level. So our state folks and some of our county and other local officials, those are the people who, for us here in our state, are like really our first line of defense. And so flipping more of these seats is really, really important. Okay, so we are going to be doing a social media training tomorrow. I'm really excited about it. I have when I started doing this work, it was only, I think, Facebook and Twitter and an email list. And now there are so many more platforms that campaigns want to be on or need to be on in order to reach the voters that they need to talk with. So it can feel, I think, at times a little daunting for our candidates. And so we want to make sure that they like have the support that they need and that they feel comfortable getting content out online because in the ideal world, our candidates are seeing people out in their district. And then, when those folks are back at their house, maybe they're like winding down for the day and they're scrolling. We want to make sure that our candidates are back in their feeds, reminding them about the like good work that they're doing and that they are there to fight for them when they're elected. So our training's going to go over organic social. This is there's like two parts of organic, but the main like how they can get content onto their pages easier, how they can get more content up. And then we're also going to talk about paid social. And again, the money that y'all are investing in our candidates, it really is such a game changer for them. The estimate out the gate that I have based on ad data that like I've run in the past is that our candidates could possibly reach people each each one of the candidates. So, every time we have another candidate, this number goes up. So this would just be one candidate could reach people almost 150,000 times. And that's so crucial as we, get closer to election day. So in the organic training, a lot of our folks have different experience levels. I know we have Allison here who's like absolutely killing it on social media. And some people are, maybe less comfortable with posting as she is. So we are going to kind of go over how to make posting easier. And then after this training, we're also doing kind of individualized reviews with everyone who is receiving an investment from you guys on their channels and going to be able to deep dive into what they need because this was really a spot where we felt folks had we're at different starting points, but we wanted to make sure everyone is, as comfortable as possible getting content out because we do hear from candidates, from a lot of them, it's maybe the candidate and one person, working on their race. So for them, sometimes they feel like it takes too much time. And so we want to help them like speed things up, bake capturing clips from when they're out in the community, just kind of into the plans that they have when they go to events so that they don't have to think about it as much and also help some folks who maybe aren't as comfortable with direct to camera, which is kind of how I'm talking to you right now, with filming that content, just really trying to make things as easy as possible for them through this training. We'll also do a breakout where our candidates will write a short script that they want to film it, and then in small groups kind of discuss the experience and maybe what they want to do more of for their social and like a little small group based on what we learn in the organic section. And then after that, we're going to dive into paid media. Which is really it's like whole own beast. And because y'all are making such a meaningful investment, seriously, like $15,000, that really, really helps folks reach voters. We want to make sure that they're running the best ads that they can. And what that means is making sure that based on the goals that they have for those posts, like maybe they're trying to run fundraising ads, or maybe they are doing turnout ads, or maybe they're doing persuasion ads. For each of those, we want to make sure that they have the best data source, that they are targeting the voters that they want to target. And even, if they don't walk out the gate targeting folks like right after the training, they have those resources for when they're ready to go up with their ads. And then we'll also kind of talk through each of the advertising platforms and a little bit of an overview on how those work, and then potentially even go through how to use our Texas voter file to get the folks that they would want to target and how to get them up onto the platform. I think that covers the training that we're going to be doing tomorrow. I'm really excited about it and also excited to meet more of the people who are running for office here and their staff. So just really thankful y'all are investing in our candidates so that they can do these things, because this type of programmatic work, it does cost money to get up, but it can have a really, really big impact. So again, my name's Brittany Switzer. I think if folks have any questions, I'm happy to answer them in the chat. And Jem, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, well then, then that just really means we're going to turn over to Allison. Tell us about your race and so forth, Allison.
And do put questions in the chat. We're going to do questions and answers just a little bit later, but feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat and we'll try to get to them. Welcome, Allison.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for having me and for being here. Thanks, Jim, and thanks, Brittany, for going over the training. It sounds great. So, I'm Allison Mitchell. I'm running for Texas State Representative House District 108, that is in Dallas. I'm trying to flip one of the last two Republican-held seats in Dallas County. The other guy is Zach Herbert. He's going for Angie Chin Button's seat, and my opponent is Morgan Meyer. Morgan has been the incumbent for 10 years. At the end of this term, it will be 12. And so he's been around quite a long time, and he's been able to redraw the district every 2 years to really benefit him. So my race is very tough in that it truly does benefit him. There's more Republican voters in our district than Democrats, at least who have come out and voted in the past. Um, so that sort of leaves us with some pathways to choose to win. One is, of course, we have to engage more Democrats. We know they're out there. This last primary cycle was extremely encouraging. I actually, I believe I outvoted Morgan, although I think Jim, you might have corrected me on that. But the last time I saw the numbers, I got more votes than Morgan did in the primary. I credit that with the Crockett-Tallarico race. People came out who've never voted in primaries before because they were so interested in that race. Of course, what you get with that is you get a lot of drop off in the ballot because they are excited about the Senate race, but they don't know what a state representative is. So that's a challenge that we are working to. I'm so sorry. My kids are out there. Sorry, you guys.
You can't hear them.
Away. They're about to go to the pool. They're little. Um, that way, please. That way, please. Thank you. Anyway, so uh, pathways to victory. So engaging more Democrats to fill in those drop-off numbers because we know they're out there, we know they're interested. Reaching those voters is the challenge. Also, another pathway to victory is peeling off some of Morgan's base because this cycle is so exceptional in the way that many Republicans are disenchanted with their party. Morgan Meyer, my opponent, is endorsed by Trump. He's endorsed by Cruz. He's endorsed by Abbott, and all of them are MAGA Republican politicians. So there is a disconnect there between Morgan and his base, who are not MAGA. My district is certainly not MAGA. It is a very centrist, very moderate district, both on the Democratic and the Republican side. Again, it's been drawn that way. And my opponent's gift for all of these years has been to present himself as a very moderate politician, but his voter history does not reflect that at all. Particularly the vouchers legislation is very unpopular in my district, and he did vote for that. So education is something that's quite top of mind around here. But really, when I go to talk to people at the door, it's affordability. And my district happens to be quite a wealthy district. So affordability here means something a little bit different than I would say in more of a middle America average type of district. So that's something that we think about when it comes to messaging. I don't think it lands in my district to gripe about, gosh, we can't put food on the table and we're having to make a choice between getting gas in the car and paying for this, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really land in my district because that's not the life that people live here. And that those are just the facts. So the people that I'm dealing with here have very privileged lives. And so there's a very nuanced way of reaching them and speaking their language that has to permeate through all of our messaging. So one thing that you'll see that reflects that is that early on, we did not put the word Democrat on any of our literature, our signage, even the website. You have to really read to find out what I'm running as. And that was strategic because the word Democrat became so triggering after Trump took office and started tweeting, Democrats and Democrats and all of that kind of thing. So we strategically did that so that I would become a safe candidate for all people. And it has really paid off because as this year went by, we started campaigning in April of 2025. As the year went by, we see more and more people less wanting to be call themselves Republicans because they don't recognize their party anymore, and they are looking for safer candidates for themselves without having to switch over to the Democratic side. So that's the type of voter that I'm looking at quite a bit. Sorry, is that a question?
No, I think somebody's just not on mute.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And so that's really what what we're dealing with. You know, the way we reach voters is several different prongs. I actually have a campaign photo shoot after this. We're starting tonight, and then we're continuing Monday through Tuesday. We're doing a huge district mailer. We've engaged a firm out of New York to come do this for me. So this is something that we're investing in to compete with Morgan's level of messaging and voter reach. So that's one way. We door knock, we phone bank, and then of course I have quite a big social media presence. So I can talk a little bit about that if you guys want. I would say my biggest platform is on Instagram. And there's two reasons why I feel like that is the case. One, it has more people my age on Instagram. I mean, there's all ages on Instagram, but the people who follow me are millennials in their 40s. They've got kids. They're young enough to be interested in a younger candidate, but they're old enough to be affected by policy. And so that's why Instagram, on my platform at this point, is like 23,000 followers. So we're not like, hundreds of thousands of followers, but for a local candidate, it's a pretty big platform. On TikTok, it's growing every day. I think we're up to like 7,000 followers, but TikTok is a much different audience and it requires a much different type of content. Facebook is probably the lowest. And that, again, a different audience and a different type of content. So that's really kind of where we are. Everything's going really well. Fundraising in this cycle, I think, has been particularly hard for a lot of candidates. I mean, it's always hard, but particularly this cycle, everybody from the top to the bottom is saying how tough it is. And I understand why. Part of it is hard to, be on the losing team for a long time. And so people are tired of giving money. So that's one thing. But aside from that, we're chugging along. We have really good, optimistic hopes for this. My race was chosen by the DLCC as one of the 12 Texas House races that is most winnable, even though it's one of the toughest races. My personal connection to the district helps a lot. I have a personal relationship with many of Morgan's base voters. And in terms of like they're the parents of kids I went to school with. They've known me since I was little and have no problem saying, of course I'll vote for you because I'm not, I've marketed myself as a safe candidate. And also I'll comment one more thing because I think I might be going over time. The way that I market myself and stay safe for everybody is I only stick to the facts. And what that does is it positions me as sort of an expert, a person who people feel comfortable taking information from. And that's a really great place to be as a candidate because it makes people feel like maybe I'm already their elected official and they are my constituents. So that was the plan. That's sort of how it's landed. And I'm very happy to say that it is working out really well. So that is my spiel. Jim, I'll give it back to you since you are in charge of the schedule here.
Right. So thanks, Allison. Adele is going to handle the Q&A.
Yeah. So the first question is to both of you, I think, which is, what about the black vote in Texas? Jasmine Crockett, I think, didn't go to the Democratic convention, and so seems to be not supportive. And so how is that going to affect the black vote? Either of you can answer.
Brittany or I?
Yeah, either one.
Well, it's a very good question because when we saw the primary turnout and the amount of drop off, so sorry. When we saw the amount of drop off after the primary turnout, our first thought was, are these Black voters who came out for the primary to vote for Crockett? And what does that mean? Where are they? How do we reach them? Um, so I guess the answer for me is I don't really know, but also I am focused so much on my Texas House race. And to be very frank with all of you, we don't have a very large Black population in my district.
Right.
We just don't. So, as much as I would like to answer that question better, I don't have enough
That's
research
fine. That's
research
good.
on it from my own point of view.
It's good that you're focused on your district. So that
Something,
perfect.
something that I want to add to that as well is, as much as I think we wish Jasmine Crockett was out, for, all of the candidates statewide, I know that she is supporting people locally. I don't think any one person is going to, save us in Texas. And so we have candidates up and down the ballot who are working to reach out to Black voters. And they're doing that in the effort to win in their districts. And so for those candidates, they are focused on everyone. They want to get everyone out to vote, and they are having those kind of one-on-one conversations with them. And so it's, as much as there is a lot of chatter online. There are we've got candidates out there doing the work, talking to voters, maybe, and they're up and down the ballot. So I think that the more that we continue to talk to folks, regardless of their, race, ethnicity, gender, et cetera, as much as we continue to talk to voters about why this election is important, I think we are gonna turn things around and win some really big races.
Okay, so along the line, I think Brittany, this might be a good one for you, which is when somebody asked, what is the impact of influencers who are not associated with the campaign? Maybe you read this question that maybe are paid by other campaigns and are being very negative. Um,
Yeah, that's a big question. And what I will tell you guys, so when I was at the DNC, I managed our external social media team. So that department was focused on all channels that the DNC did not own. So accounts that the DNC owns, right, are like at the Democrats. They also have a really great page called at Fact Post, where they control what people are posting. The department I was running, it included social listening, counter misinformation, and partnerships. So we are watching, all the crazy things people on the right were saying, as well as, people who are maybe independent minded or creators who are independent minded, and then also creators who are like very staunch Democrats, big supporters in our amplifier programs, etc. That is going to be the nature of campaigning. Is it is a very I would say gray area across the board for all creators and influencers as well as campaigns. There are lots of different um loopholes that folks use to pay creators under the radar to either talk positively or talk negatively about campaigns. And I think that's really the reality that all of our candidates kind of have to face in this election cycle. And so my kind of advice for everyone, especially our folks, is we don't have to run paid creator programs if the campaign is large enough and has enough money to do that. I think that's really great. Make sure that the creators are, posting like adding a hashtag sponsored to the posts. But folks also just naturally self-organize. Like everyone here, all of you guys could be a part of an amplifier program, which is, anyone with any amount of following sharing something that, like as a campaign, maybe I've posted something I really want all the voters to see, and I really want to kind of juice the algorithm to make sure that that post gets out there. So I could send it to all of you guys and
So I'm going to
for
cut you off.
free.
I had so many more questions to get to.
Oh,
So
yes, apologies.
all that
But
you shared, that's
yeah,
really,
I have a lot of thoughts on it.
I don't want to get to everybody's question. So the next one's sort of related to what you were trying to talk about. And maybe Allison should start with this. Are you getting some help from social media groups? And this person named Chorus, Courier, and Project Bullhorn. And I can answer so Project Bullhorn is a group that we partnered with in Iowa, and we helped to create the Iowa Creator Corps. And Jason, they are in Texas right now, and I know they've purchased these meme accounts that are mostly connected to TikTok. So I'm not sure how that would work for Allison, but Allison, if you could start with these other social media groups like Courier and Chorus.
You're asking if we're getting any help from anybody?
Yeah, or what's your interaction with them? Do they cross your screen?
No, it's none. It's zero. We do all of our social media internally. In fact, it's just between me and my manager, Joanna. But we also have that skill set between us. So that, is unusual, or that's just something that we come to the table with. My background, I don't know if any of you know, but I built a business in the fashion world. I was a handbag designer for 10 years. It was my own line. I launched it in Dallas, scaled it globally year 4, and did that whole world for a long time. And so when you are in that world, you learn a pretty good skill set when it comes to marketing, advertising, social media, and messaging hierarchy, all of that. So I'm just transferring those skills here. And because of that, we don't really need to engage with any outside groups.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything Brittany wants to add to that. I'm not even sure that Courier is in Texas. Jim may know.
Courier has a Texas branch. I would treat them a little bit more like a reporter or like a news source. So our candidates can send them folks to post about.
Right. Yeah, we've worked with Courier. We've raised money for Courier also. So, all right. So one of the things, Allison, people are asking about, that some people say that Dems should campaign on democracy as well as affordability. Does saving democracy come up as a campaign? Is just the main issue affordability? Like, is democracy something that resonates with the people?
I no, not really. Saving democracy doesn't really come up. I mean, it comes up with other Democrats, but when I'm talking with people who are not Democrats or independents who are really soft Republicans, let's be honest about that, and anybody else who's a Morgan voter, if I talk about things like democracy, what they hear is, oh, you're blaming me for what's going on. So this is also something that I'm really mindful of. In this day and age, the political choices of people have become their identity. And that's what MAGA did. They created an ideology that people were able to adopt as an identity. And when you believe that you are something, that is who you are, you'll die on that hill. So I have to be very mindful about the words I use and the topics I discuss, because it can really trigger people. Because obviously what I mean by saving democracy is that this administration has consolidated all the power from the top, that they're fascist, and that they're doing everything they're doing. Some people are not ready to admit that. So long answer to no, saving democracy is not really something that comes up unless I'm talking to other Democrats.
Okay. So the next question is for you, which is about reproductive care and abortion. Is that an issue that people are talking about in your district?
It's not, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's interesting. Most people, I mean, even Republican women in this district believe that women should have the right to choose. Um, but the person who ran for the seat before me, Liz Ginsburg, she campaigned on abortion rights, and it really, I really believe it lost her the seat because, as I said, my district being concentrated with wealth, being quite sheltered, um, is they just don't want to talk about those unpleasant things. And that's the way, and that's just the way it is. So I rarely speak about abortion rights. Also, I find that people are like, you know what? Let's tackle that later. It's done. We have more important things in front of us. Let's focus on those now.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
The next thing sort of is like a steady drum roll around redistricting. And so the question, and both of you can be thinking about it, is has the redistricting in your district or in Texas had some negative consequence for Republicans? In other words, is there been a backlash in terms of the redistricting they've done, which has been a national question? So,
Well, yes, absolutely. People are very upset about it, although the Republicans don't really say much about it. And my district is mostly Republican. So it's hard. I find that the Republican voters in my district just don't want to talk about the really tough issues. Again, because they don't want to feel like they caused all this. But yes, plenty of people are very irritated about being redistricted. I got redistricted. Most people just roll their eyes about it. Oh no, the Republicans are up to more shenanigans. But that's sort of the weight of it here. It's not as weighty as I think it should be, but that's what people think.
okay. So another question, and once again, I think this is for Brittany, because you maybe have already done this, is about Ballotpedia. So if people are looking for a resource for AI, people Google Ballotpedia, and I guess this person looked up all the candidates, and no candidate filled out the Ballotpedia survey. And that person's just wondering why and if that's something that's important.
I think it's a number of factors. I've been working in politics for a while, and one of the things that, every campaign was important for every campaign was SEO. SEO is still important, but now there's like the added factor of AI. And so there's a number of different ways. Definitely want to encourage folks to make sure that their Ballotpedia is updated, but also that their websites are easy for, these AI bots to scroll and ingest the copy that's on there. And also getting some of that same information placed on other websites as well, whether that is, news articles or just other places that AI is, ingesting that information. So then when people ask about the candidates, it's giving an answer that is what the candidate would like people to know about them.
Okay, thank you. So two questions for Allison that are kind of related. We always love this question. Like, what are the voters talking to you about, Allison? Like, what you've addressed it to some degree, but if you could add on to that, and then on another level, what would you like to accomplish in the legislature when you are elected? Which we
Well,
all
like I said, affordability is top of mind, but property taxes is mostly the thing around here because we have a lot of high property value in 108. Um, but what economy, I keep it really about money, taxes, economy, because I can speak to that as a business owner and people, those are really safe topics because most people agree we just don't want to pay that much in taxes. Um, but I would say that as far as trying to think of any, so well, I'll say this. I talk about property taxes, but then I also talk about how bringing the affordability or addressing the affordability issue and making life cost less money is not just about property taxes. It's also about lowering insurance premiums. It's also about daycare. It's also about housing. It's also about building opportunities for wealth and things like that. So that's the type of stuff I talk to my district about a lot. Um, and that, I maybe here and there expansion of Medicaid, that is something on my platform that I think we need to be doing. And as much as I am passionate about public education, we're finding that it's not exactly top of mind for my district, though people do agree that vouchers are a bad piece of legislation and we need to fully fund our public schools. So when I get into the legislature, education is going to be a huge priority for me. And I want to focus there because there are other candidates, many other candidates who are running who are teachers and community organizers who are also very passionate about public education and bringing Texas out from the bottom half to the top three, because that's where we should be. We have the money. There's no reason we shouldn't be there. So we have this opportunity when we all get elected to form a coalition in the House to actually get some things done. Because we all know that one rep, one voice isn't going to do much, but working together, we can really push some things through. So education is going to be very top of mind for me. And also, I'd like to raise the minimum wage because as much as people in my district don't understand the connection between a higher minimum wage and a lower cost of living, it actually does lead to that. So it's something I would really like to push through. How I talk about it and how I package it is another story in a GOP-led legislature, but that is my skill set. So that's what I plan on doing.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I don't see any other.
Adele, yeah, we need to move on to Michelle because Michelle has to leave, Adele.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm done with the questions.
Okay, so let's turn it over to Michelle, who's got an announcement about canvassing.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let you all know that next Saturday, July 25th, we're running our first canvas in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, about 90 minutes from the Bethesda, Northwest DC area. And we've got plenty of room for more people to join us. I've just put the sign up link in the chat and I'll post it again. We provide training and buddy systems and a carpool, and we'd welcome newcomers. So that's another way to flip a seat in the state house, in the U.S. Congress, and also we're campaigning for a state house representative in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. So put your information in the chat if you want more information about that canvas, or later on you can email me or Jim, and we will connect you with Michelle. There's also a note in the chat from some folks that are going to be in Cincinnati for a couple weeks canvassing. So if anybody knows anyone in Cincinnati who might be able to put them up in a spare room, that would be awesome. So if you do have any friends or relatives in Cincinnati who are Democrat minded, then maybe put that info in the chat. So we are at 1:59. We usually stay on for a few minutes after our formal program just to answer any random questions or just field comments or observations. Thank you so much to Brittany and Allison. You guys are really knocking it out of the park, especially with your small children and babies right next to you. I really appreciate you making time for this in the middle of your family life. We know you're really busy. And it's been really educational to hear from both of you. So thank you for coming. So we are going to close our formal program now. But again, a few of us will stay on if you have more questions for us or just want to say hello. And go Spain, go Argentina. Have a great afternoon if you're signing off.
Hello, I'm Teddy Shaw. I'm the executive director of the Texas House Democratic Campaign Committee. So all of these races fall under me. And I am so grateful for all of your help. We have, I know I've spent a lot of time talking to Jim about the races and where they're all at. We have so many seats. We have 150 seats. up this cycle because in the House they're up every 2 years, and we actually, for the first time in a very long time, have filed a candidate in every single district. So we are not letting any Republican go unchallenged, which is, I think, helping us. In 2018, they were able to flip 12 seats, but they didn't run Democrat in every seat. So there are probably seats that they could have done better in, or really increased the turnout in had they had a candidate. And the training we're doing tomorrow, we're not just doing it to the 15 folks that you guys are funding. We open it up to all of our candidates, including our incumbents, so that everyone can have a baseline training, and then we're going to do individualized training to the folks that you guys are helping give some extra money to. But we wanted to make sure that everyone got that same opportunity, even the people who are running in super deep red seats. One of the things that I think that I've talked about, with Jim, is we've got these targets that are in between 50 and 40% Democratic turnout, and then we have 20 seats that are between 40 and 38%. So if there is a 12-point swing, a number of those folks could end up winning. And that's why Jen was talking about, well, like, we could go even above the taking over the House and flipping it, because we only need 76 seats to flip it when we're 14 down, and we feel like we have enough candidates that are doing well, that are actually out there campaigning and raising money and knocking doors all the time. And so we feel like we're investing in a good group of folks and getting them to where, even if they don't win, that they've increased the turnout in their district, that they've been able to persuade folks to know you have a Democrat to vote for. You don't have to vote for Republicans. Like, there is another option, and that, we think, is going to help not only our candidates. It's going to help us because they've already threatened to redistrict us again next year, and so that's going to help us with. It makes it harder for them to redistrict us if the districts look better because of what they did this cycle, and so that, when you have 20 seats that are between 40 and 38%, they're like, oh, if those all move to 42 to 45%, or, even over 40, it makes it so much harder for them to redistrict us into Republican safe seats, because there just aren't that many. And they also have a different rule here in Texas, which I'm sure they'll try to figure out how to get rid of, but they have to keep the counties contained. And so they have to cut the districts in the county. And so that's why the redistricting isn't as bad here as it is in some other places where they don't have to keep the county intact. And so those are some of the reasons why we have so many of those seats that are like in the margins that they thought were going to be fine, because they cut them all off of Trump numbers, which is their whole issue.
So Teddy, that is just that very big perspective is so helpful. Thank you. And this concept of running, of course, it helps Talrico,
Yeah.
running a candidate in every single um, race,
Yeah.
at least every legislature race. I just think that's brilliant, and I'm just really glad you joined us today to explain that to us. So thank you.